Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this afternoon session of the Capacity Building Seminar here with the Wright County Economic Development Partnership. On behalf of the partnership, I have the fortune of being a board member with that organization, wanting to thank you for your investment of time with us today, hoping to put some gold in your pockets, and also want to appreciate Jolene and Missy, a fine team of leadership and management at the partnership, bringing these kind of events for us and bringing us together in a real productive way. My name is Tim Zipoy. As I mentioned, I'm with Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services there at the Monticello Career Force Center. We're anxious to talk with you more today, my partner Della and I, about the important topic of employee sourcing, development, and retention. My goal today is to engage you and inform you and equip you and hopefully inspire you as well. We've got a heavy toolbox to unpack together today, so I'm going to just jump right in on things. And for those of us in the house, you have a handout with you and before you that you can follow along should you wish. I mentioned that I'm with Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, and I'm going to cover just a little bit of that. Della's going to talk more about her employer, the Department of Employment and Economic Development. I want you to know just a little bit briefly about Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, and you'll find me to be a fast talker. And if you are a fast listener, that's good, and just ask your questions anytime as we go. So a little bit about Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services. Then we're a 38-year-old not-for-profit employment and training organization. Our footprint right there in Central Minnesota, we've got 11 counties from Pine County to the north to Renville County to the south. And plainly put, we help people get jobs and we help industry find, train, and keep workers. At its core, that's what we do. And I like to say that we're honest brokers of resources, information, maybe a little hope and inspiration too. No matter your first, next, or last job, we certainly want to be a part of your career success story. And I like to say too, I bet your friend, your neighbor, or family member may know of our organization too. I mentioned that we're partners in the Career Force Center system. That must have advanced on its own.
It must have.
Yeah.
I think it
So
did.
Career Force Center system, just want to mention that Career Force Centers are those one-stop sort of places where business and industry can come and get the help they need to find, train, and keep workers. And those of us that are looking for our first, next, or last job can go to a place called the Career Force Center and get all the help that we need. Our partners there include a variety of entities to include Minnesota's Department of Employment and Economic Development, my own Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, along with other great partners like vocational rehabilitation. We've got I think the Monticello Career Force Center is certainly blessed to have an adult basic ed partner there, along with a senior services provider as well. So lots of good partners at the Career Force Center. Wanted you to know that. And also just wanted to give mention there, moving in, the fact that we're governed by an outstanding servant leadership board that invests their time and their wisdom to provide guidance to the goings on and the administration of the funds that we receive there at the Career Force Center in Monticello. And just to give props and thanks to Mr. Kirkjob for being a former board, not a board member right now, are you? I wanted to recognize it. I didn't want to blow the ship and say, well, you're
Long time though.
I know you were. So
15 years.
Yeah, so just wanted to recognize that.
Thank you, Jim.
Left your print there for sure, and we thank you for that. So moving on, trying to keep up with the self-advancing slide. Let's talk about what it is we're going to talk about today. Want to have again a great message to share with you around sourcing and training and retaining employees. And also we've got some good resources in the toolbox as far as growth and innovation goes. So we're going to talk about those things. The next slide that we'll look together, I'm not going to jump real deep in this. You should read it together with me though. It's, you know, some eye-opening data, and thank you to Della for pulling this information for us today. She took it from, I think, the most reliable source that we all can access would be labor market information through DEED, or Department of Employment and Economic Development. I'm calling it DEED for the rest of our communication today. But bottom line is we can see that it's a very competitive labor market out there, and things are plenty of jobs out there. Labor market is tough. Wright County unemployment rate, much like the state, much like the nation, is you know, rather low, which really calls for us to tighten our game as it relates to finding and training and keeping people. And that's what I want to talk more about today. So I'm going to back off of some of those stats, but just wanted to kind of give some context as far as what we're dealing with currently, as far as labor market statistics. That next slide, same thing. We were able to drill into, just like you can, some more Wright County specific data there. I just circled on my paper, if you look at the fact that that labor force is around 77,000 people, and at present, nearly 75,000 of us are working, so that given that very low unemployment rate. There's further good information as it relates to maybe, well, I'll just give a plug for the labor market information side of things, and how it is that that can help you make important business decisions, whether that be wage information and just a lot of other good demographic information can be had. And I bet Della will talk a little bit more about that too. I'm going to move into our next kind of topic here, a little bit, this bigger notion of what I need employees, what can I do? And I sure appreciate some of the slides that I did not create necessarily to include this one. I included it from another presentation that Della and one of my peers gave together, and I thought it was a good one. And it really helps us, I think, open our minds just a little bit for further conversation today around how it is, again, it's a tight labor market. What can we do to be competitive? What can we do to be better? And ultimately, what can we do to grow our business and find those people that we need to find, train, and keep? And so I invite us to look at it very open-minded, this notion of casting a wide net, and how it is that we can often take another look, should be taking a look maybe at those what might be called sometimes overlooked groups. And there you can see them before us, diverse populations, individuals with different disabilities and so forth. And we've got good ways to target those people because, of course, each segment of the labor market brings their own skills and experience and value to your company and to your position. So bottom line is let's expand our thinking a little bit, and we've got some tools to help us move forward in that kind of thinking. The next one, I realize lots of this is easy to say and sometimes hard to do, but I think we're all in it together. I know Della and I have got some good tools to help us all be better, let's just say. I included this slide too, because I really like it. It's kind of compelling thoughts in the sense that, of course, job seekers have a lot of options these days, and how it is that we can be better and faster than our competition. And that might be an important thing to be thinking about these days. And how it is, thank you, Barry, you talked a little bit about in your presentation about that company culture and how that's so important, and how it is that employees need to be valued and appreciated but make them feel that they're assets to your organization. So many different things that we can look at. And there are a variety of things that we might be able to do to be better, whether that's recruiting and attraction or applications and interviews, and each one of these, I think, is a little bit of a sub-conversation in and of itself, in the sense that, for example, applications. Are your applications available online? Are they only in person? Are they easy? Are they lengthy? Just different ways, I think, that we can take a look at different segments of our onboarding and upskilling process. And again, the Career Force Center can help you improve on all of these sorts of tactics, and you'll find more about that information or these points so that we can improve on as we go. Remember, you can ask questions anytime. Moving on. This one I like in the sense that we've got lots of information to talk about kind of on the adult side of things and on the young people side of things. I like this slide in the sense that it really encourages us to swim upstream in our workforce development thinking, or grow your pipeline and go upstream, or grow your own, if you will. And there's so many ways that we can do that. This kind of thinking is alive and well right here in Wright County. You can get involved with lots of your schools and community groups, show your business and your occupations, and offer tours and job shadows. Just suggestions. I realize, but yet there are organized ways that we can do that. You'll learn more about that. Maybe that's through partnership with Central Minnesota Manufacturers Association. If you are a manufacturer, we're going to learn more about great ways to engage you. So today is what is it, May 18th, tomorrow the 19th, for example, Monticello, and like many other high schools in and around the Wright County area, has a large-scale career fair and career exploration day with their students. And what a great way to swim upstream and be in front of those young people and their teachers and those that influence them. So we'd be happy to talk more about that upstream kind of thinking. This slide also gives a shout out to Mark Lee, but more so the Wright Technical Center. What a gem here in Wright County. What a place for career and technical learning for our young students to be truly an asset. One of the crown jewels, if you will, in Wright County for sure. And how it is that there are people like Mark Lee, just an outstanding practitioner of youth apprenticeships there at Wright Technical Center. And we'd be happy to make those connections with you and help you be successful with youth apprenticeship through the technical school. In addition to that, we'll learn more about that. But there are other apprenticeship tools in your toolbox, whether that be what is called the Youth Skills Training Program, delivered to us through the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. That program is going strong in and around our area. Some great examples of upskilling and preparing young people to enter manufacturing, healthcare, and a variety of other in-demand sorts of occupations. Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services also offers what is called a work experience or internship program, whereby we can help you do fair introduction to a career with a young person. They would be our employee. You provide them the structured experience and perhaps hire them on as we go. It's something called work experience, and you can learn more about that at our organization also. I'm going to jump into, and let's unpack a little bit of what I like to call this toolbox or take action toolbox. And it starts off with just a little bit about what you as a business person might be able to do at the Career Force Center. Again, what is that Career Force Center? Remember that it's much more than the place where people go to file unemployment. I think that's an antiquated version. And I think these days it's much more so a place where business and industry can connect with trained and ambitious job seekers. That's probably the better way to look at what is a Career Force Center. Then we offer you great ways to connect and to train and to partner up with job seekers. And we do that in a variety of ways. We'd like to tell you the things about our on-campus or our on-site hiring events. Every third Thursday of the month, we offer to you for free a job fair from 10 to noon. It's a free way that you can connect with active job seekers right here in the Wright County area. We'd be happy to have you anytime, always on that third Thursday, 10 to noon, free, and it's effective and it's available right here in Monticello, right here in Wright County. Also offer other I mentioned too a large scale job fair and career expo. So every spring break time, we are lucky enough to partner with the Monticello School District, and in their high school, we host or offer a large scale annual job fair that can be yet another effective tool for you to engage active job seekers. We'd love to tell you more about this. Just give a call to the Career Force Center at 763-271-3700, and we can have that conversation. I talk about peer groups for professionals. Just know that I'm real proud to be a longtime facilitator, even of a fantastic local HR group. So it's a way that we get together as local practicing HR folks on a monthly basis. The notion is to park our competition at the door, play in the sandbox together, and raise the water line for everybody as it relates to HR issues, problems, solutions, and opportunities. I just can't speak fondly enough of that group. And it's a great opportunity for those of you that are in HR that want to make peer connections and planning to elevate your game. And I'd be happy to tell you more about that. I mentioned too local labor market information. We can help you understand local wages, maybe it's how to connect with different segments of the labor market in and around your community. And then also this talks about employee training and retention resources. I'm going to leave that there for now because I think our next couple of slides are going to jump into things like incumbent worker training and on-the-job training. And sure enough, that's what this next slide is. And I'm going to kind of click through this very quickly because I've got some other slides that take probably a little bit more of an in-depth look as far as connecting and how to share those job needs of yours. So I'm going to move into this and jump right into the toolbox, if you will, and move into what is called Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services work-based training options. So bottom line is this: we would be able to partner up with you on the youth side of things, creating paid internships for young people. Bottom line is, why not partner up with a young person? Why not let us be the employer of record? And how about getting those people a positive experience in your job, in your company, in your industry? And it would be a great way, again, to likely land and onboard and grow a relationship with a future employee, something we call work experience there at Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services. We also offer to you in business and industry something called on-the-job training services. Bottom line is it's a win-win-win, if you will, in the sense that we're able to reimburse your company 50% of a new hire's wages for typically 3 to 6 months. And it really depends on that person's previous background and the nature of that new job of yours, and kind of training to the gap, if you will. It really is a win-win in the sense that you in business and industry, you can train with your own subject matter expertise through that wage reimbursement process. You get help to your bottom line investments of onboarding and upskilling new hires. Your new employee wins because that person earns while they learn. And of course, CMJTS also wins because we're able to bring those resources to business and industry in the way that our organization should. So it's just a great tool called OJT, or on-the-job training. And I have to say that CMJTS certainly is a recognized leader, on-the-job training work here in our area. Also then, another great tool for the workforce side of things, just as on-the-job training focuses mostly on your new hires, we have something called an incumbent worker training program. I think that these next couple slides come a little deeper into that. So we're gonna move quickly into the next slide and hold my tongue just a little bit on something called incumbent worker training, because let's take a kind of a deeper look at some of the details about that program. So this again is about training your current staff. How does that really connect the dots in your mind between your culture, putting value in your employees, developing your employees, opening your and broadening your markets, maybe improving your company's competitive advantage. Lots of good reasons to think about something called incumbent worker training. So bottom line is, through Central Minnesota Jobs and Training, we've got up to $25,000 available for you to train your current staff. And that training is really kind of a wide open conversation. It can be some sort of training relevant to a specific component of a job or a machine, or maybe it's something more about leadership and supervision. Just really some broad thinking and some broad goals to be accomplished through something called this incumbent worker training program. Sorry about all that advancement. But it's a great tool, and it can be industry specific, and I like to say harder soft skills training. And there's a little bit of a match that's required by you in business and industry, but it's easily met by simply paying wages as you would for your employees that would be involved in training. It's a great tool. It's called incumbent worker training, and we'd like to help you be successful with that one as well, right here in Wright County. The next slide talks a little bit more about something I mentioned earlier, this book notion of on-the-job training and how it is. And I kind of went through a lot of those details already, but really, again, it's a great tool that can help you with your new hires. Probably the biggest caveat around that program is that those people that would be have to be eligible, it would be the word I was searching for services there at Central Minnesota Jobs and Training. So my message is to you is, share your job leads with us so that we can share or send these on-the-job training eligible applicants to you. And in turn, if you are looking at your stack of applicants, or when you're looking at your applicants, if anybody tells you that they are unemployed, underemployed, been downsized, haven't worked since COVID, that's kind of your red flag to say, aha, that might be a time to reach out to Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services at the Career Force Center and learn more about how it is that person could qualify for this on-the-job training resource that can help my company grow. So that's probably a good way to look at what is called on-the-job training, and I'd like to tell you more about that. This sheet that's next up really is just kind of an identifier of the footprint there for CMJTS, along with other organizations like ours. And for those of you that may be doing business outside of Wright County, I've got some great coworkers that might be able to help you with your interest there. Then to speak to this notion of casting a wide net and how it is that, boy, lots of different value and so many different segments of the labor market out there. Why not think about some new initiative called Inclusive Workplace Employer Designation, or IWE, we'll call it amongst friends today. IWE, again, is that Inclusive Workforce Employer Designation. That's a great new initiative. My partner Della is knee deep into it. She may speak to it too, but really it's a way that you can demonstrate to the world, if you will, your willingness to think broadly and to be very inclusive to all comers at your door as it relates to, I don't know how to fix that. So I'm just gonna let it rip the way it is. So we're talking about IWE, Inclusive Workplace or Workforce Employer. I'm sorry for being distracted with technology.
You're fine.
All right.
Yep, you did good.
Yeah, so IWE, then bottom line is, I think that thing fell asleep right on it. But the short is, it's a great way to look at being inclusive, and it has to do with a certain assessment and a credential or certification that you as business and industry can earn, if you will, this IWE designation. So it really starts at the top with a look at your company culture and your workplace values. And it's a bit of an assessment process that is utilizing a newly created assessment tool that's brought to this group by a partnership with the U of M. And so if anything, it's a scientific way, if you will, of assigning, taking an informed look at your workplace culture and a variety of things. Maybe I'm drifting off just a little bit trying to explain. I don't want to get too far in the woods on this thing called IWE, but again, it's a great way to look at workplace inclusion and equity in the workplace. And at the end of the day, you're going to get a moniker or a designation that you might be able to see up there sometime soon, but bottom line is call it a window decal, a credential that you can prominently display that the public would recognize and feel welcome to come and apply for your positions. It's called inclusive workforce employer designation. So we're not, although we're not looking at them on the slides right now, for those of us in the house, and I know that Della, rather Jolene is going to hopefully make this recording available along with all of the slides, because the next couple of things that I wanted to really quickly run through were some resources, plainly put, a bunch of links or tools in your toolbox to help you look at tapping into different segments of the labor market, and more importantly, helping you make the connections with those practitioners that offer those services, whether it be tapping into those people that might be hard of hearing, hard of sight, vocational rehabilitation, or others. Thank you, partner Della, for getting us back on track. I appreciate that. Same too with this next slide. I'm just going to grab the throttle and I'm going to move us forward. I just mentioned iLead. That's good to know. Now, wanted to draw your attention then back again to some of these other partners of yours that can help you be successful in employing different segments of the labor market. Then same too with this slide, and I wanted to give some recognition on this one too, what is called Fair Chance Employer. There's a fellow named Dick Owen that has created, I'm going to say, a scientific model that business and industry can use to assess the risk in hiring a person with a previous legal background, I'll just say. And it's he's a great fellow to know, and it's a great new tool that he's created. And you can learn more about it at that HR group that I talked about, along with his particular website. And also I wanted to drop a name here, Mark Mann, down on the vet side of things, M-A-N-N, Mark Mann, is our local vets rep that serves our area. And I'd sure like to be the ambassador of connectivity between you and Mark and the veterans community here in Wright County.
You're doing great. I know it's a new environment, new technology here.
Thanks for being patient. So anyway, so let's jump into the toolbox again. And I had mentioned this notion of what is that HR group? And again, this group was now, I think, probably 18 years old. And it was born at the request of some local HR folks that said, yep, we're SHRM members, Society for Human Resource Manager members. We like going to monthly or quarterly large scale meetings with a big group of people and hearing a speaker. But Tim, convene for us a smaller group here locally where we can get to know our friends and neighbors and talk specifically and intimately, if you will, about matters of HR. And that really, again, is the purpose of this group. And just so very proud of it, and would offer a red carpet welcome to any and all of you that have interest in HR growth and development. I'm really excited about this next slide in particular because Joe Carlson is here in the house. Thank you, Joe, for being here. It's an opportunity for me to share something different than what you hear me on WorkRight with. But the bottom line is I contend how blessed yet again is Wright County to have its own radio station, KRWC, now nearly celebrating 50 years strong right here in Wright County, and currently run by an outstanding owner operator, Joe Carlson, who's in the house today. So I wanted to give a shout out to something called WorkRight and how it is that, again, every thanks to Mr. Carlson, because it is his brainchild that came to me in conversation one time and said, Tim, I don't think people know about the great jobs right here in our communities in Wright County. Tim, I think they leave the county unnecessarily every day because they don't know what's going on. And Tim, we should do something about that. And so from that day, WorkRight Radio was born, and Mr. Carlson gladly put up his radio station for this, well-intended mission of helping people understand, hey, you can have a great job, a great quality of life right here in Wright County. And so for nearly how many years? I think it's nearly 4 or 5 years, Joe, we've been going strong with WorkRight Radio, offering a platform to learn about their business, their industry right here in Wright County. And I'm just very grateful for Joe helping me to learn the skills necessary to communicate in an effective way on KRWC. Thank you for that. Then, Joe, I'm sure would like for me to mention, why not join us this July at Wright County Fair, in the sense that what we like to do is something called WorkRight at the Fair. It's a way that we can celebrate and showcase your business to citizenry right here in Wright County that attend the fair. It's a great opportunity, a casual time to interact with the public and tell them more about your opportunities at your company. We found it work right at the fair. Also want to give a shout out to KRWC from this perspective, in the sense that Joel will be at Maple Lake's first ever Maple Lakes manufacturing block party tomorrow, and how it is that he can bring his show on the road and communicate opportunities like those that Maple Lake will celebrate and showcase tomorrow at their manufacturing block party. So trying to thread things together to talk about the value of KRWC. And I know that they also offer something called Jobline, a very modest price tool in the KRWC toolbox to get the word out about your opportunities at your company. Let's connect with KRWC. I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk a little bit, I think quickly, about something called Central Minnesota Manufacturers Association, dynamic and thriving trade association that serves our area. I know that Della and I are both, we consider ourselves blessed to be board members of that organization. And that is a great group making a strong presence, doing good work here in the Wright County area and beyond. And this particular slide talks about a workforce development tool called the K-12 Navigator. It's a fine tool to use to talk about engaging young people in so many ways, whether that be hosting tours, going to the schools and presenting to them, or giving materials and supplies. Just lots of different ideas are suggested in something called the K-12 Navigator. So we would want to just push that out to you on behalf of Central Minnesota Manufacturers Association. That group is about three things. If you are in manufacturing, it's all about educating our members on modern manufacturing practices. It's about workforce development, and it's about legislative advocacy. That's the work of CMMA, and of course, Dale and I would love to tell you more about that, should you be interested in it. Then, one to also give some mention, I'm not sure if Jolene has talked about this in this session today or no, but it would be right for us to talk about something called Workforce Pathways, an outstanding initiative unique to Wright County, led of course by the Wright County Economic Development Partnership and lifted up strongly by the work of Jolene. But this is yet another online tool that can help us as business leaders engage young people, those that teach them and those that influence them. It's an online repository of leading business and industry in Wright County, career pathways, career training information, and so much more. It's called Workforce Pathways. It's a new tool in your toolbox, and I know that we'd love to tell you more about that. That may bring me to the end of my piece, and I'd like to welcome Della Ludwig. She's my partner with Minnesota's Department of Employment and Economic Development. I hope you put some gold in your pocket for my comments today, and I know that Della is prepared to load you up as well. Thank you for your time and attention, and welcome to Della.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
You did enough juggling for today.
Great job. Thanks,
Very
Tim.
good job. Lots of great information. And- Good. Hi, everyone. I am Della Ludwig. I'm a workforce strategy consultant for the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. I cover 13 counties in central Minnesota, so I work very closely with Tim Zipoy and his team, as well as Stearns and Benton counties in central Minnesota. My main focus is usually on healthcare and manufacturing, but I do work on other industries as well that need assistance with hiring and recruiting and retention. My main responsibilities are to assist and connect employers with the resources and tools to increase their and strengthen their workforce. So here's a little bit on Wright County, and I find this really interesting. First of all, the 13 county central Minnesota area has the most mobile workers of the entire state, with over 40% of the region's workforce residents driving outside of our region to actually find work or to work. Primarily, they go to the Twin Cities or the metro area, but they could be in the surrounding areas around us as well. Central Minnesota is a net exporter of labor, actually having more workers available than actual jobs in our region. So the cost of living in Wright County is, drumroll, $17.43 per hour. So that is the basic needs that a single person living on their own would need to make. Again, it's $17.43. That's higher than the Minnesota average. Minnesota's average is $15.85. Obviously, this is for a single person, so if you have a family, you need to be making much more. A family of 3, for example, needs to be making $19.71 an hour. So this specific diagram that you're looking at shows Wright County's labor and commute shed. So with that information, there are almost 75,000 workers who live in Wright County. There are 45,000 positions available in the county. So what's happening, right? Our employees are leaving that live here and they're driving elsewhere. So 23,500 people live and actually work in Wright County. 51,000 of those 75,000 actually live in the county, but they're driving elsewhere. And then we're importing about 21,600 workers into our county, into Wright County, for the remaining jobs. So what is the solution, right? Sounds kind of easy. We got to figure out how to keep those residents in our county to do the work. So today's workforce needs, employers need to find out what their employees' needs are and figure out a way to meet them. Employers need to assist their employees with their circumstances, which leads to a happier, healthier employee and someone who will actually show up to do the job. HR is no longer just about HR, and it's no longer just the HR person's responsibility to doing the hiring and recruiting and the training. You need to be a great salesperson to hire people, as well as a social worker to meet the needs of the employees and actually retain them. You need to make sure that your workforce is happy and enjoys coming to work. You need to ask employees what they like and what they don't like about working at their job. If transportation is a barrier for your workers, find out ways to offer transportation to your employees. One of the things that is offered in this region is Enterprise Van Pool, and that's a metro company that assists with transportation needs. If childcare is a barrier, build flexible scheduling options into your offerings. Some businesses in Duluth actually allow infants at work. Every single item on this list is centered around meeting the needs of the individual in a meaningful way. Your culture is key to employee recruitment and retention. So company culture is the sum of your formal and informal systems and behaviors and values, all of which create an experience for your employees and your customers. At its core, company culture is how things get done around your workplace. A strong culture can be described as diverse, inclusive, transparent, connected, nurturing, etc. Star Tribune does an annual statewide as well as connected to a national top places to work survey, which focuses on how companies treat employees and customers and how they interact with those communities. The Top Workplaces program is about the culture and the values. As you can see on the slide, there's a lot of information about the 7 areas to the survey, with only one being focused on benefits. So if you were to participate in this survey, how do you think your company would actually do? It is available for you guys to download to actually take a peek at and see if that's something that would help you develop a survey internally. So diversity plus equity plus inclusion equals the belonging. It's important to mention that change occurs with more than just culture change. It happens with diversifying your workforce. Many employers overlook the importance of inclusion, which affects the company's culture. Organizations need to engage the full potential of its employees, individually and as a team. Integration of views, beliefs, and values are critical in today's world. What does diversity and inclusion for the workplace look like? Diversity is actually inviting all of the employees to the table. Equity is providing a fair opportunity for all your employees to be there. And inclusion is allowing them to have a voice and developing the policies, procedures, and guidelines affecting their workplace. This equals the belonging and then a positive, strong culture. So where does a company start? Especially at creating recruitment and retention. Make sure you know where your employees are commuting from and reach out to those schools. If it's a 20 or 30-mile radius, be aware of that and make sure those communities, chambers, and others know who you are and what you do. By 2048, Minnesota's population is expected to increase by 15%. The only population decreasing in size is the white non-Hispanic population, which is expected to decrease by 5%. So it's critical to diversify your workforce and create that DEI statement that demonstrates a company's commitment to building an inclusive workplace that is welcoming to people of all backgrounds. If you're not sure what to do first or where to start, ask your employees. Do a simple survey about your company and the culture and ask why they stay. Use information to develop the goals to be more inclusive. Manufacturing, for example, is 83% white and 70% male. A Melrose manufacturing company hired a bilingual receptionist, and within 2 weeks, they had 10 new bilingual employees. But diversity just isn't about race or origin. It could also be recruiting veterans, second chance workers, more males, more females, retirees, etc. So you need to focus on your retention, especially with the diverse populations. If people do not feel welcome or like their job or are talked down to, or they don't have any friends, they're less apt to stay. Hiring groups and develop a mentor program to make sure everyone feels welcome. People with friends at work are more apt to stay. Train your trainers. Just because you're a good football player doesn't mean that you're a good coach. Give incentives and bonuses to management, but have teams with low turnover and high morale. And remember, your most senior employees aren't always the best trainers or mentors. And network, like Tim had said, he has many different projects and opportunities for people, especially in the Wright County area, to participate in, including his radio station and his HR networking group. So thinking outside the box, what is the absolute best benefit you could give any employee? Anybody have a guess? Time off. SHRM, which is the Society for Human Resource Management, did a survey back in 2016 to employees, and it was the #1 benefit, and has continued to be the #1 benefit for people to offer. It shows they feel worthwhile and appreciated. It's ranked higher than anything else, including paid. Time off is an emotional benefit tied to family and friends with immediate gratification. If you offer more time off than your competitors, it helps keep people during those tough times, as well as it's a strong recruitment tool. Time off also needs to represent the years of experience, not just the years of service at your specific organization. If you want a person with experience, but you make that person start with the same vacation package as an 18-year-old with no experience, you're going to lose a good experienced worker who was once considering changing jobs to your organization. Time off can also be used as a referral bonus, which helps people understand more why it's important to recruit and retain, but it gives them the day off, as well as everybody in their family and friends would notice. The other two that are really high, that have really moved up the ranks, is transportation reimbursement and holding daycare spots for expecting employees. So we do a Workforce Wednesday event. It's the first Wednesday of every month. This is done by my team, and it's a virtual meeting. It focuses on highlighting proven strategies to build talent pipelines, hearing and sharing best practices, and networking with other Minnesota employers. And everything that we talk about is focused on workforce. June 1st presentation will be engaging potential talent through on-site career exploration opportunities. Tammy Beery from Career Solutions will be presenting at that. Last month in May, we had a youth focus, and Mark Lee actually presented at that. Great. So enriching your talent. Here's a bunch of different grants, opportunities, and programs that are available for you in this region. Deeds Minnesota Job Skills Partnership Program, or MJSP, is available to businesses training both new and existing employees at the business. Businesses must partner with an accredited school such as Ridgewater, and they're awarded the education. The funds are actually rewarded to the education system, and they then help you develop that program. JTIP, which is Jobs Training Incentive Program, is part of MJSP, but is for new or expanding businesses in greater Minnesota. Metro does not qualify for the JTIP. It's in Minnesota or Metro. So the metro area, the 7 counties in the metro area do not qualify for this. So it's a great opportunity for outside of that metro area. Grant is up to $200,000. And then we have the dual training pipeline program, and this is focused more on like an apprenticeship program. How do you give your employees the skills that they need, rather than assuming that they need to come with them? Minnesota Apprenticeship Initiative offers grants to assist employees with costs associated in developing a specific apprenticeship program for your organization. Employers receive up to $5,000 for each apprentice, and it helps. The cost can be used to help cover all of the different costs related, such as supplies, materials, instruction, as well as infrastructure. And then WOTC, the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. This is a hidden gem that a lot of businesses forget about. And this is a federal tax credit available to all private sector businesses as an incentive to employers to hire workers in certain groups who consistently experience high rates of unemployment. All employers should be aware of this program and be taking advantage of it. It's just a couple extra forms that need to be filled out upon hire. Here are a few resources Tim put together. This one is on Career Force Indeed. Minnesota Job Bank, which is the MinnesotaWorks.net, is the largest job bank in the state of Minnesota. Anyone who participates or is involved with unemployment insurance needs to have their resume information on this site. And businesses can post their job openings as well as do reverse searches on this as well. Career Force Employer Resources is a great one on there for career fairs. So if you're doing a local career fair or want to post any positions that you have, you can also put that information on that site. So this one is all related, as Tim had spoke a little bit earlier about the Inclusive Workforce Employer, or the IOE program. This one is specific to Central Minnesota, all of these resources. So Career Solutions as well as CMJTS developed a DEI guide, and it has tons of information on different connections that you can be making within the state and our region specifically. And here's some context. So if you have a business that's expanding or looking at your community or wants to move into your community, any type of expansion, so on and so forth, David Heyer is your guy. That is the person that you want to know and reach out to, and you can also let me know and I can put you in contact with him. Luke Hartog is the Job Services Coordinator in the Career Force location in St. Cloud. We do have a Career Force location in Monticello, but it's not as heavily staffed as what the St. Cloud area is. Most of the work in Monticello is done by Tim and his team. And then Mark Mann, Tim had mentioned him, he's excellent. If you are interested in hiring anybody that is a veteran, that's a great opportunity. And then we have Jerry Warner, vocational rehab, and then Angie and Tim. We have any questions?
Well, thank you. Go ahead, Barry.
I just have a comment. This all looks good and you're really, since I've been involved with workforce development, continue to make strides. One thing I was just thinking about, and we've done the same thing at the SBDC. I have two wonderful Somalian consultants now that we've been able to recruit. In fact, people came to me and said, because I've been quietly with you,
Right.
I don't like, that's the person. And we were just overjoyed to get the person who got it. And then we said, we're really looking for a female consultant too. And of course, I got the perfect person. Make some good inroads. But one thing up there is that's could have some unintended consequences. Maybe not today, maybe not next year, the year after, but when you talk about putting in a prayer room, it's pretty much for a select organization, select group right now, it's a Somali population. And as we continue to have DEI, and we talked about this, the military, that, the military now, there's a lot of people in the military that go, I'm a Wiccan. And I don't know, I'll kind of quasi predict this. Is the workforce 5-10 years ago, future is, oh, you folks, Christmas is a holiday for you, but we're going to be open because Ramadan is a holiday for another religious organization. And are we making an accommodation for one group to have a prayer room? Does that open up to, well, we need this and we need that, and we're going to really get going down? I would, if I was in HR or in a company, I would give that some real pause. Say we can do a lot of things, but we have to, if we're really practicing DEI, that almost seems like we're making special accommodations.
So when you say a prayer room,
Well, how define that? Because nobody, okay, this is going on in school districts now where the devil worshipers are having a club after school. And it's getting a lot of heat. And so then all of a sudden, oh, you have a prayer room? We want a Satan worship room. And are you gonna feel good? Are you gonna be comfortable with your religious beliefs going into the Satan prayer room practice? I mean, it gets, I'm just going, there can be a lot of unintended consequences.
unfortunately, but I'm wrong.
Well, I think, first I want to thank you, Della and Tim, for the great information that you shared. I think Barry does bring up an interesting point, but I think for the intents and purposes, when we look at diversity and inclusion, we don't necessarily want to look at the exceptions. We want to look at the generalizations of being accommodating. It's a room. Whatever your group chooses to do in that room, as long as it's within the confines of the law. If you want to worship, or if you want to pray, or if you want to meditate, we've provided a space for you to have that. And like you said, if it's a holiday, whether you get your PTO, if you want to take it for this holiday or for a birthday party, or if you want to take it to go sit by the lake, it's up to each individual person how they want to use that time. So I think that diversity and inclusion piece, we don't have to define what that means for every single circumstance. We just want to try to find a general understanding of how can we be more inclusive to a more diverse population, is sort of the way that I look at it from my perspective at the Wright County Economic Development Partnership. I'm happy to see that there's now a new designation, the IWE designation. This is news to me. I didn't realize that this was a new opportunity. And in looking at the information that you provided, the definition of reducing disparities and raising awareness of diversity, inclusion, value, and equity in the workplace by creating this designation to recognize participating employers. I think that's really front end thinking. And I think that businesses that really take a look at this, they can be the leaders in this. They can really showcase that they are looking at each person as an individual, valuable, unique person. And regardless of if they agree with everything that they do or don't, we still can respect and highly value each other and wherever we're coming from. So I'm really happy that the I-we designation is a thing, and I would encourage everyone to look into it. I'm always so happy to work with Tim at the Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services and Career Force. Tim is a board member, a revered board member, and a good friend of mine. I highly value the information that you've shared, and I know that the programs that you're offering really do change people's lives, and they improve the quality of life for the businesses and the employees. And Della and I have worked together too for a number of years. I highly respect Deed. The Minnesota Manufacturing Month is an awesome opportunity for our heavily populated county of manufacturers to showcase what they do, for people to understand what happens behind those walls, because oftentimes our industrial parks are a bit of a mystery, and to be able to get inside and see the awesome work that our manufacturers are doing, the innovation that they are creatively coming up with, and the opportunities for individuals who maybe a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree isn't necessarily what's best for them. There's so many opportunities for in-house training, internships, apprenticeships, and on-the-job training. So I just really love both Deed programs and the Career Force and Central Minnesota Jobs and Training programs. Thank you guys so much for coming today. I really am happy that you were here, and this information will be available on our website. The slide decks will be available, and hopefully through this, you may have more opportunities to speak in our region.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.